Cool. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us on the podcast. It's getting a bit busy in the podcast world for me at the moment. Today, we are really fortunate to have Jordan with us. Jordan lives in Melbourne, and I'm pretty interested to hear what Jordan has to say about carnivore or nutrient-dense food and the tradie life and how that fits in with his day-to-day life, because I know it can be a bit tricky. So, hi, Jordan. Thanks for coming. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. So my name's Jordan. I am a tradesman based in Melbourne, more specifically an electrician, and I am currently nearly finished an apprenticeship. So I'm slowly just becoming an electrician and enjoying it. And I've more recently just found a passion for nutrition, as the culture, especially in Victoria, from what I've seen, but I'm sure it's a worldwide thing. And the culture for tradesmen is just to not eat very healthy food and eat things on the run that are quick and convenient and buying our lunch virtually more often than not. And that's what I've seen. And it doesn't lead to good health outcomes physically or mentally. And I've noticed I've made a decision with my diet specifically, and it's benefited me in so many ways. And I just want to hopefully influence other tradies that it is possible to step away from the norm and live a better life at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's why I'm here.
So great. I love that you're below 25. Am I guessing below 20, or where are we going there? Are you
Yeah,
that
23 at the moment.
23? So
Yeah.
fantastic that you have been able to pick up on nutrition at such a young age, because, I didn't find this way of eating till I was double your age. And you've got all those decades to reap the benefits. So
Yeah.
can I ask you what brought you to the way of carnivore eating? So often people will come to, is it carnivore or are you just nutrient dense? Is there a difference to an inter?
So I am like mainly meat based. I'd say
Yeah.
I am carnivore. I would eat fruit when I feel like something sweet, but it's
Yeah.
really rarely at the moment. So pretty
Yeah.
much just steak and eggs would be 99% of my diet.
Yeah. And what brought you to making that choice or that change? And what kind of a diet did you change from?
So I was a very high carbohydrate diet, which most people, a lot of people I socialize with are, and a lot of highly ultra processed foods, which were made up the most of my diet. And the reason I sort of looked for a change was about 6 months, and I was thinking, oh, we'll go lift weights, and I've gone through stages of gym throughout my life, but this time around, I just sort of thought I just want to learn more about nutrition, and see if this is going to have, if I can really dial that in and find something that works for me. I'm sure I'll have better results and get more what I'm looking for. So, and then yeah, I just went down a rabbit hole of hours and hours and hours of listening and learning, and um, we really are lucky that there's so many resources out there and specialists and doctors and that's those sorts of things, talking about these topics that don't align with the normalities of what we've grown up with. So, and and yeah, as you said, I'm glad I've discovered this sort of lifestyle while I'm young, because I do have so many years just to really learn and find out what works for me and really perfect it. But I'm glad that I've sort of found an interest in nutrition at this age, I think. But it doesn't matter what age you are. I think whenever you do find something that works for you or make a change, you'll definitely benefit from it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So
been why I got into it.
can I ask what benefits you've seen? Like what has changed?
Multiple benefits. Physically, I'd say energy levels, sleep. Um,
Important.
yeah, especially at work, I'm finding my energy levels are naturally a lot higher. and my sleep is a lot more easier to fall asleep. So I'll fall asleep as soon as I sort of go to bed, and I've found I can function off less sleep, and I'm not usually tired when I wake up, which is a massive change I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And also physically, I'd say I've lost a lot of body fat, I would say, as opposed to when I've tried to lose weight in the past. It's been a really slow and difficult burn with a different strategy to nutrition. And this has been by far the easiest way to access my stored fat. And yeah, that was sort of one of the first initial things I noticed. I lost fat off my face. I lost fat around the waist, those sorts of things. I really slimmed down, and yeah, physical, I'd say energy, sleep, and I've lost a lot of weight, body fat as well. And then mental benefits. There's plenty of those as well. Like especially at work, concentration levels.
Good.
I
Important for an
find
electrician. Yeah.
yeah, it really is. And I find that I'm a lot more on the ball and looking for responsibility, and always thinking about the next thing. And I'm not worried about lunch or smoko or drinking something sugary anymore or getting lunch. Like I'm just sort of worried about work, learning, and growing, and that's making a difference in my work quality, my effort, those sorts of things. And overall, I'm enjoying it a lot more as well, because I
Mm-mm.
find that I'm a lot more valuable when I'm in a state of I can concentrate, I'm thinking clearly, I'm not lethargic, I'm energized. So I feel like I'm a lot
Mm.
more valuable as well, and I enjoy work a lot more in this state.
Mm-mm. That's great, because that's the most things that people benefit. For me, it's been the concentration and the ability to, I guess, think clearly and concentrate and do my job and get my
Mm,
things done. So
mm.
you mentioned the word smoko, which I think is a real great Australian term. So back in the day, it used to be when you would go and have a cigarette, that was a smoko.
Yeah,
That might still be the case, I don't know, but generally I feel like the word smoko means food
yeah.
for the tradies, people that are out there. So when smoko time comes along now, you're not you're eating or you're not, or what's the difference, and what do you see that you would like to see change in what other people are eating at smoko?
Um, so my old smoko for my whole apprenticeship was virtually we would all my crew never would bring lunch, so we would always at lunchtime, which is what we call smoko, we would just go
Uh-huh.
to decide what we're going to eat, and would go wait at a fast food venue, order, sit down, have lunch, and then usually have something sweet to finish it off, like a muffin or a nice coffee or something like that, and then head back to work. And then I was usually feeling tired and lethargic, and craving more food because it wasn't really filling us up. So I'd probably be snacking at work, say 2 or 3 other times throughout the day, because I was never actually satiated or full.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, how that's changed for me now is my preferred eating window time is usually around say 3 to 4 p.m. when I get home from
Right.
work.
Right. Okay. Well,
I'll
that's
have
good. Yeah.
usually a nice steak. Yeah, yeah,
Because I know for
yeah.
trade.
So I can usually push through.
No, that's all right. Keep going.
Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, I know for tradies, the difficult thing that I have witnessed in my own tradie kids, tradie boys, is the actual prepping of the food. So it's difficult to keep, like in WA especially, it's difficult to
Mm,
keep things cool, and you don't want to take salad sandwiches or bread, so they end up going to the servos and buy the servo special of the day, or I don't know, cafe to get all their whatever they get. So you're finding then that that's not a problem for you, because you don't get hungry in the day. You eat a big breakfast, you eat a real cooked breakfast before you leave.
yeah, certainly. Um, Well, actually, I don't eat at all till about and usually my only meal for the day, and it seems to give me enough
Well, we've got just a more just
energy
lost you
throughout
for
the
a bit
day,
there. Just lost you
just
for a
to
bit
do all
there.
the duties to the best of my ability without any fatigue or. Um,
So
oh,
did I hear
sorry.
you? Did I
Can
hear you
you
say it's
still
just
hear
one
me?
meal a
Or
day, or
from uh, between about 3 and 4 o'clock in the
missing you?
afternoon.
Oh, are you back? You're back. I think you're back. There you go. Are you back?
I don't know. I hope
Oh
so.
yeah, you're back. So did you say you only have one meal a day in the afternoon, that you don't have breakfast?
No, just one meal a day at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Great.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, that's a big day because you'd be quite energetic, up and down ladders, climbing along roofs, pretty
Mm,
energetic during the day. So you'd
yeah,
use a lot of energy, and that one meal a day keeps you
yeah,
satiated enough.
yeah. It really does, and I don't wake up hungry. I don't get hungry around lunchtime. I usually have like a coffee. I just usually trust
Yep.
my instincts with food now. And if I feel like a coffee, I'll have a bulletproof coffee, either for Smoko or I'll have one in the morning on the way to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm usually fine throughout the whole day. But if I am hungry at lunch, I'm not afraid to go eat something and quick on the go and just make a calculated decision like meat patties or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, there is
Protein
options on the
based.
go that people who eat carnivore can get. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of options. I just listen to my intuition and my hunger
Good.
signals, and
Good.
yeah, usually it's one meal a day, and after the meal, I'll go for a walk, just to help digestion. And yeah, I find after the meal, I'm actually the happiest I've been like throughout the whole day, and it's just
Yeah.
really enjoying. And after that, I feel great, and then all day I'm sort of looking forward to it as well. But I'm not, yeah, usually I'm not hungry throughout the day.
Cool. Well, so you must be saving a fair bit of money then.
Oh, ridiculous amount of money. Yeah, it really is a lot of money.
Yeah, you're
Um, and people say like, carnivore's expensive, meat's too expensive, but if you're a tradie, the ones I've seen, they can be spending $30 to $40 at their break at work, and
yeah.
some are having servo pies and a dare iced coffee on the way to work, and then like after work, snacks, dinner, dessert, breakfast, like it really is a money saver, and you feel so much better for it. Even if it was more expensive, I would not think twice at the end even. But I think you are in front at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah. You are, because as you're eating all that beautiful nutrient dense food and your body's using it up, you're becoming healthier. So down the track, it saves you
Mm,
time at the doctors, getting x-rays, having GP visits, buying the medication that everyone ends up on at some point in their life if they don't
mm,
watch what they're doing. So it does save you money and time in the long run as well.
mm,
Um,
definitely.
so of course we know that food that people are eating from the supermarket isn't part of, well, it actually is part of the food pyramid, which is a problem because we need to flip that food pyramid around, right? Yeah. What do you think about the food
Mm.
pyramid? What do you think about the food pyramid currently?
I just think yeah, it's probably back to front. Um, I don't think, from what I've learned, I don't think humans have ever thrived on it, which is sort of what's being promoted as the optimal way to eat. And I don't think humans have ever thrived in that sort of situation. And as you can see, like we're probably the sickest we've ever been and the unhealthiest we've ever been. And I know, and I think even if people try and stick to the food pyramid as such, they're still going to be including things like fast food, takeaway, these things, because the food pyramid will trigger people's sugar cravings and these sorts of things. So for me, eliminating most of the processed sugar and added sugar has just been a lifesaver in regards to sticking to a whole foods diet.
Yeah, it's the sugar that drives the cravings, isn't it, for sure? So it's great to know that currently the food guidelines in Australia are under review, and I'm really excited to see what becomes of that, because I don't know if you've heard of Dr. James Smoko. He's from Adelaide. He's an ophthalmologist, and he's a great spokesperson for reversing type 2. Dr. Peter Bruckner, he's a Sydney doctor, and Dr. Liz Fraser, they've put in a submission to Parliament, and hopefully the food pyramid will be tossed around a little bit and changed as much as they can in the not too distant future, because it's just heartbreaking. And that food pyramid came around before you were even born.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, before you're even born.
That's actually great news. And hopefully something comes of it, because I feel like we're just so far gone into having certain beliefs that most people aren't willing to question it anymore or change anymore, or do their own research. So I think, and I feel like everyone has to have their why to trigger change and questioning and doubting what we're being taught. And it's good that specialists are now voicing their opinions and showing results by different practices, which is great.
Definitely, because Dr. Bruckner there is from New South Wales, and he has Defeat Diabetes Australia, I think, and he himself was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So once a GP or a specialist has been in that, that walk of type 2 diabetes, it's easy to bring them onto the pathway of showing other people what to do. So it's fantastic. Yeah, it is great. And vegan and vegetarian diets, what do you think about those? What do you know? What can you share?
I don't know a whole lot. I was hoping you could offer a little bit of insight into that. My interest is more in pregnancies and those sorts of things.
Interesting, yeah. So I have got a YouTube video that I was about to flick to you that I'll show you. I'll send to you.
Vegan and vegetarian diets.
Sorry, you go. I missed your question.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was more into I'm interested in the effects of, say, a vegan and vegetarian diet, like how much nutrients someone eating that way would be missing. And then if they can pass that on through generations or pregnancies, how that affects pregnancies and children, those sorts of things. That's sort of what sparked my interest. And yeah, I'm definitely open to learning as much as possible about that. But yeah, there's so much to learn. But yeah,
really,
sorry.
Really important, because a lot of people become vegetarian and vegan with a really good purpose, like they have an expectation that they're doing their bit to save the planet, or doing something to help. But the latest science tells us that this isn't the case. In fact, it takes more water and resource to make almond milk than it does to grow a cow. And we all know, well, it's written in literature that cows, the meat from a cow gives you way many more benefits nutrient-wise than almond milk. And even in Belgium, it's been reported that one woman went to jail because her child was fed a vegetarian or vegan diet and the child passed away. So it's in Belgium now, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian parent, I won't use mother because it's parent, both people are involved. Those people have to take their children for rigorous They have to supplement them because all vegan and vegetarian diets need supplementation. They have to supplement their children, and it has to be done under medical supervision to make sure that those children are eating enough nutrients to grow their brain, to grow their muscles, to grow themselves properly. Because in a pregnancy, that baby is relying on everything the mother eats to sustain it. And if we're looking at brain development, a plant-based diet will not help brain development of anyone, let alone a tiny, tiny baby that's trying to grow and come into the world. So it's important to make sure if you are on a vegan and vegetarian diet, you have enough B12. You have to, and you have to supplement with B12. You can't get that from plants. You just can't get it from plants. So there has to be a B12 supplement. And lots of, you just have to really be careful with your diet. And I think most people that are on a vegan and vegetarian diet over a period of time will not be well, will not look well, will not have good muscle tone, because you can't build a muscle from a carrot, right? It's not going to work.
Well, they used to promote Popeye with spinach, so it makes you wonder.
So Popeye with spinach is the heme iron, which you can't get from plants. You need heme iron from meat. Plants do not provide you with heme iron. It has to come from meat. And the true carnivores or the true meat eaters will tell you that it has to be ruminant meat as well, which is cows and sheep, because their stomachs, I think their forestomachs actually digest the grass into protein that our bodies can assimilate to, because we recognize that protein. Our bodies know that protein, so they use it and grow our muscles. So yeah, it's a bit sad, because I understand the climate change and the methane gas and the perspectives, but there's many, many resources out there that are telling us that it just isn't the case. Cows are getting blamed for a lot of CO2 emissions, where if we look worldwide at, industrial plants, at cars on the road, at the vast populations in India and China, about the container ships that cross the world and bring, economic goods that we don't need, that we've become a very economy-based people that need to buy and use. We have to really look at how we spend our dollars, what we're encouraging, trade. There's lots of things that are involved in climate change. It isn't just the cows. There's a lot that we have to take into our perspective, really. Poor old cows. Poor farmers have been farming for so long, and all of a sudden they've been tainted as the evil people of the world because their cows are destroying the pastures, and there's too much methane, and they're high production to get the meat to a human eating grade or whatever. They come up with all these ideas, but cows are just cows. They just eat grass, and I guess there's sustainable ways of feeding them properly with better food sources, and probably managing their water so they don't waste it so much. But cows add so much to the environment as well, with their manure and their biodynamic use of the ground, and us touching them, and then it helps our microbiome. There's a real symbiotic relationship between cows and people. What do you think? Have you got anything to add?
Yeah, no, that was really insightful. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
I think vegetarians and vegans, like some of the ones that I know, are usually making the decision because they think some of them say they don't really like the taste of meats and those sorts of things. But then, I think now people are starting to realize that you do need animal proteins to thrive. And there's no real substitute, because it's the most nutrient-dense, bioavailable food on the planet. So I think we should probably put our time into raising cows regeneratively in a safe environment, because one cow could feed one family for months. So it could be, if we fine-tune that industry, I think people will be a lot more comfortable with, because I'm sure a lot of vegan and vegetarian food, like fruits and vegetables, nuts, all these things are killing lots of insects and animals, like in the process of their production anyway, and
Yes.
flying them all over the world, causing emissions. So it's like, I think we should
Yes.
really just focus on the what's logical, what's going to keep humans thriving from
Mm-hmm.
generation to generation, and what's got us here thus far. And
Mm-hmm.
let's fine tune the practices into making the most of the beautiful meat that we have available. And yeah, I hope that we do put more time and effort into it, and hopefully come around, or at least give it a go.
Mm-mm. Because meat gives us vitamin D, vitamin B12, K2.
Mm,
There's a vitamin called vitamin A,
mm,
omega threes, EPs, DHA, creatine, lots of them. But the most
mm,
important one is leucine, which is the amino acid that grows your muscles. We need
yeah,
to make sure that we've got our muscles growing, because as
yeah,
you age, if you don't keep your muscle composition on your body, you become frail, you end up in a nursing home. If you break your hip in the later stages of life, your life expectancy is only 2 years from breaking a hip. And
wow,
so muscle wastage is a really important factor to consider as you're aging. You need to make sure you hold on to your
mm,
muscle. So
mm.
important.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And at the
yeah.
start, when I went low carb, I think I lost the puffiness in my muscles. I
Yes.
think it,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
probably all the glucose was being emptied out of my system, and
Yeah.
all that water weight, all that sort of thing. So I lost a bit of the puffiness, but I think now I'm slowly starting to build up that lean muscle mass, and I feel so much lighter and healthier and physically strong. And I feel like I look healthier as well. So
Mm-mm.
um,
Mm-mm. Good.
yeah.
Um, so I hope you're able to. How does your family and your friends feel about your change? Because often the social aspect of changing to a more nutrient dense diet is really tricky to navigate. Do you find it difficult?
Hmm. I think at the start I found it difficult.
Yeah.
Um, Reason being, it's obviously most of my social group, friends, family, hadn't heard of the carnivore diet, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're all eating the standard diet, which I've grown up with. So it is easy for people to take people off guard and say, you can't just eat meat, because most of the people that heard this from me would instantly talk about cholesterol, heart
Yeah.
disease. You'll be
Yes.
dead in a few years. Even if you look great and feel great, you'll be dead in a few years. So that was the initial response. Um, but I think as I've learned more, I've been able to have these discussions with them, um, and open discussions, and not saying one way is right, one way is wrong, just questioning the normalities and what we know. Because I don't think, obviously, if you go to a supermarket, say 75% of the foods there are ultra processed foods. So that's essentially the normal to be consuming these in great amounts for most people. So
Yeah.
I think just raising awareness on these things, and just letting people know that a lot of diseases, conditions, and health conditions that you have can be fixed by nutrition. And
Mm.
that's what I've just
Mm.
been trying to do. I'm not really focusing on the meat aspect to people
Yes. Good.
in my
Yeah.
network. I'm more focusing on the things that you include could be contributing to skin conditions, sleep, tiredness, energy levels, sugar cravings, weight gain, all these things. And if people have issues like joint pain or anything like
Mm. And
that at work, I'm just trying to shed light on some of the things that they are consuming in big amounts, and the happiest I've ever been with eating just style. So, yeah.
the interesting thing, I've got a book that I was reading I read it about 4 years ago. Where have I
Yeah.
put that book? Oh, I was going to show you a picture of it, but I think I can't find where I put it. It's
That's okay.
called, what? Oh, well, here, no, it's not here. It's called Pottinger's Cats. And
Okay.
it was written by a guy that was part of the Western A Price. I think
Yep.
he had something to do with Western A Price. Oh, it's a shame, that book. Anyhow, the book is called Pottinger's Cats, and it's a study of three generations of cats. And
Yep.
they use cats because cats have a shorter lifespan than humans, so they can
Mm.
measure and look at, even though they're cats and we're people, there's some correlations that are the same. Um,
Yeah.
they fed three generations of cats raw cat food, like because they're carnivores. They fed them raw cat food, meat,
Yep.
catty kind of raw meaty food. The other
Yep.
generation, the three of them all, they fed them with processed processed food, so like kibble
Mm.
or whatever they feed their cats, it was processed food.
Yep.
By the third generation of the processed food, the offspring had smaller pelvises, smaller jaws. The women could not birth their children, so the cesarean rate was higher. Well, not the women, the
Mm.
female cats couldn't birth their
Yeah.
children, so the
Yeah.
C-section rate for those cats was higher. The infertility rate
Wow.
was higher as well. So really, for
Wow.
someone at your age group to be addressing the nutrient dense food is amazing, because you're shedding the
Mm.
light on people in your generation that might well fall into those categories of needing, C-section births or fertility problems or braces on their teeth.
Mm.
It's
Yep.
it's quite phenomenal to think that food can have such a I guess vast improvement when you're eating the good food. Your body composition is great. It's fantastic. It improves tenfold. Whereas if you're eating processed foods and not a natural human diet, or the optimal human diet, you end up with problems. Having
Mm.
babies, growing your muscles,
Mm.
chronic diseases develop. So it's really important. That book's a good resource. I read it
Yeah.
ages
Great.
ago.
Awesome.
It's a really good
Yeah.
resource. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I think you've got to get on to doing some things, haven't you? You've got to be out and about.
Yes, I do.
You do. Yeah, good. All right. Well, thank you for your
Yeah.
chat.
Thank
Hope
you.
you for sharing. I'm hoping that some younger people and some older ones will learn a lot from you and your experience so far in the
Yeah.
food world.
Thanks,
We've
Linda. I
come
really appreciate the chat and your insight and knowledge. It was really beneficial for me. So,
great. Thanks very much for that.